Hi there, YouTube. I'm Gamma James, and this is my first stream. And I've decided to do a MTG stream because there's the new deck building free-for-all today. So I decided to check out all the deck options that are there. I've been playing MTG Arena for about 2 years, but I decided to take a break for the past 2 months. And I don't know, I just thought to jump back on today and check out what's there. So that's interesting. There's the Historic Anthology too, which I should probably check out. The original one was interesting because it it did draw from all different older sets, but unfortunately, I did find that a lot of the cards were not exactly useful for most of the decks. Like there were some interesting cards, like what was the 4-mana red one from Saviors of Kamigawa? It deals 10 damage to your opponent when they are at 10 damage. Really interesting card, but I mean the setup you got to do for getting that to work is just ridiculous. So, but I mean they might print more burn on MTG Arena, so be interesting to see what they do with that. Okay, so during the challenging time, we want to give the community a chance to play and connect with their local game store. Okay. So I'm not sure exactly how this works. I haven't actually got in touch with my local game shop for this online F&M thing here. Okay, I'll get back to that. So let's check out the store. I'm just shifting my windows here. Make sure everything's nice and organized. Okay. Excuse me. So I'm going to check out the list here for the Historic Anthology 2. Looks like I can't actually look at all of them there individually. Okay, so let's see what they printed. So they brought back the cycling lands, which is pretty cool. Definitely will be stable for Historic Pauper. And it'd be good if they would start doing that regularly for MTG Arena, because that was one of the things that drew me to MTG Online, because Pauper at one time was a lot cheaper, but it grew to be pretty expensive over time. We got Nyx Fleece Ram. I remember this was from the original Theros to combat Mono Red. It's a pretty good blocker and gains your life over time. Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. None of the creature spells cost. So yeah, this card is played in older formats, and very good against Storm and other strategies like that. Ranger of Eos. I remember playing this card back in, I think it was Zendikar block, and that was when Baneslayer was legal for the first time. And this was played in a red. Or sorry, no, this is not. This is not Zendikar. This is Shards of Lara. And I believe this was played in a red-white Boros deck that used this with Goblin Guide and a Johnny Vengeant and Baneslayer Angel. So it was kind of it was a somewhat aggressive mid-range strategy, and it was pretty interesting because Goblin Guide's a pretty powerful card, and the fact that this could get two of them is pretty strong. Sigil of the Empty Throne. So this turns your tokens into 4/4 angels. Definitely something that seems like it could be built around in a commander deck, or yeah, I'm not sure what decks would want to use this in Historic. I mean, it's a fun card, but I don't think this is something a competitive strategy is going to want to go for. Another cycling land with the blue one, Marrow Regery. So this is a Lorwyn Lord for Merfolks. And the fact that this is an uncommon is pretty absurd. I mean, that's what Lorwyn, I think, is known for having very powerful uncommons. With Imperious Perfect being one of them. But But yeah, this pumps your other merfolks and can ice one of your opponent's permanents, which is useful. Inexorable Tide. Okay, this is definitely a commander bread and butter card. I mean, anything to do with proliferate seems like it could be built around in commander or brawl decks. Again, just like the sigil of the empty throne, I'm not sure what competitive deck would want to use this. I mean, spending 5 mana to really do pretty much nothing until your next turn, and then go off. I mean, there are cards like Thousand Year Storm that don't do anything the turn they come in, but essentially win the game next turn. I don't know what strategy would want this for that, but yeah, we'll see. I'm not sure what the landscape of Historic is right now. I haven't really been checking up on it for a while, so I would have to see the decks. The black cycle land. Bojuka Bog. This was actually played in Standard for a while. Because it's a pretty powerful effect for, even though the land comes into play tapped, exiling your player's graveyard and not your own is a pretty good effect that's built into a land. Brain Maggot, essentially a Tide Hollow Scholar for just black. Yeah, it's a pretty powerful card. It's similar to the 2-drop Pirate that can snatch a non-land, non-creature, I believe, out of your opponent's hand. Whereas this is any card except for lands, which I mean, the body doesn't really do much, but if you're looking for a card that puts a permanent into play and wants to mess with your opponent's hand, then this is a good one for that. Pack Rat, the bane of limited back in Return to Ravnica, I think. This was definitely a card you wanted to open up in that format, but you didn't want to face because it just took over the game essentially right away unless it was killed. And it's also a powerful card in like a Legacy Cube, I believe, plays this. Waste Not. Okay, at first I thought this is when you discarded a card, but that seemed like an extremely powerful enabler. The fact that it's only when your opponents discard a card, I mean, there is, excuse me, there is Davriel as a 3-drop, and he's a good discard enabler for your opponent. But I don't know. Discard decks are kind of like mill decks. They don't they don't interact with your opponent very well, and they're very fragile, and creatures can just take over the game very easily with strategies like that. So creature tokens get -2/-2, Virulent Plague. Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's a good anti-token. It's a token hoser, and I'm not sure what decks in historic play 2/2 tokens, but I mean, if there's any token decks, I mean, it doesn't have to be 2/2. It could be 1/1 tokens too. But if there's any that this would be a good way to shut down a tokens deck. So this is the red cycling land. Red cycling lands tend to be better in a red deck because you tend to want less lands. The problem with this is that it comes into play tapped, and usually in like a red burn deck, you want to use all your mana efficiently every turn. So the fact this comes into play tapped, I don't think that's really where I want to be with a burn deck, or even just a low to the ground red deck. So Dragon Master Outcast. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 6 or more lands, create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. So I remember this card being kind of being hyped quite a bit back in I think it was World Wake that this came out, and because it seems like an extremely powerful effect for 1 mana. The problem is that it takes you until essentially turn 7 to get your first 5/5 dragon, unless you're ramping. So this might be useful in a ramp deck, because it is very powerful. But yeah, it takes some work for that. Goblin Rune Blaster, haste. A 2/1 haste that when it comes into play, if it was kicked, destroy target non-basic land. Yeah, I mean, it's a nice combo. You get a 2/1 haste plus a essentially a pillage that only destroys non-basic lands, but could be used in a red sideboard against some strategies. So again, I'm not sure what deck you would want to be destroying their lands in, but if Valakut ever comes, to MTG Arena, then I guess this would be a good card for a red deck for that. A green cycling land. Ancestral Mask. So a funny thing with this card is I remember back when this was first printed on MTGO, on Magic Online, and this is from the set Mercadian Masks, and it was when it was printed for the first time. I think the ticket price was like 2 cents, and I was playing Pauper at the time, and I was thinking of buying a bunch of these for prospecting, and lo and behold, Uh, I think it was, a few weeks after the fact that this spiked up to being upwards of, $5, 5 tickets a card, just because of how powerful this is in a pauper metagame. Because if you think of it in a boggles strategy, you throw this on your boggle by by turn 3, and this is usually at least a +4/+4 uh, immediately and then it just grows from there. So this is a really powerful card for Pauper, for the boggle strategy. Terravore. Trample. Terravore's power and toughness are equal to the number of land cards in all graveyards. So this is similar to Tarmogoyf, and it's actually a Lurgoyf, which is the same card type as Tarmogoyf. This is from, I believe, Odyssey. Looks like the symbol there. Yeah, this is significantly less powerful than Tarmogoyf, obviously. In order to really utilize this, I think you would have to have a deck that's built around putting land cards in your graveyard, and it's really unfortunate that Wizards didn't design a limited format that used a lot of these cards, because there is some synergy here with the cycling lands in Terravore, and that might be one of the reasons why they've included this card, is because you have the cycling lands in this set. Meddling Mage. So as Meddling Mage enters the battlefield, choose a non-land card name. Spells with the chosen name can't be cast. Yeah, I remember this being a pretty big deal when this was reprinted back in Alara Reborn. Because it's a reprint of a very old card. That's pretty powerful. I mean, this could shut down certain strategies, a certain combo deck that really relies on a certain card. This really could do a lot of damage there. And I mean, as a 2/2 for 2, that's not a bad rate. Maelstrom Pulse. So for 3, 1 black green. This is another card from Alara Reborn. Destroy target non-land permanent and all other permanents with the same name as that permanent. So this is a Vindicate type of card. The restriction is that Vindicate could destroy any permanent, whereas this is non-land. But this can get rid of tokens. It can get rid of multiple permanents of the same name on the battlefield. Now the catch is that it will destroy your own permanents as well if you do have the same permanent as your opponent. But this is definitely I would say this is one of the more powerful cards in this collection here, is Pulse, as this is played in multiple formats even now. Knight of the Reliquary, another very powerful card that was played heavily in Legacy. I'm not sure if it's still played there or not. Um, so Knight of the Reliquary gets +1/+1 for each land card in your graveyard. So kind of along the same line as Terravor, this has the synergies with the graveyard. But this has the added ability to sacrifice a Forest of Plains and then search for a land card, any land, which is important. So this is a great brawl card. Um, because lands are tend to be very important in commander type formats. And then put it in the library, and it doesn't even come into play tapped. Yeah, this is a very powerful effect. Um, Obviously, a lot less powerful than modern or legacy because there's no fetch lands in this in MTG Arena. But if they were ever to print any sort of fetch land, um, then the quality of this goes up dramatically. Ghost Quarter. So this is a wasteland type of effect, but it actually not even wasteland. It's a strip mine effect, but it's symmetrical. So your opponent gets to look for a land, um, uh, while you don't get the land yourself. So it's I think you would have to be pretty hard up to to want to destroy your opponent's land to use this. Yeah, and especially the fact that we have what's the card from Ixalan, the something rune, but it destroys a target non basic land, and I think that's just a better card than this. But this has its uses if you need to destroy any land on the first few turns. And Platinum Angel, so 7 mana, flying. You can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game, and it's also an artifact. So this is an interesting card. I'm not sure what deck would want to use something like this. I mean, it seems like it would be fun or not fun, depending on the circumstance in Brawl or Commander. But I think there are some decks in older formats that use this sometimes, but I think this has to be you have to be looking for something very specific to would want to use something like this. Just it's so expensive, and it's the fact that it's a creature that it can be killed so easily. So, but definitely a fun card. I remember the first time I saw this, I was kind of blown away because I just seen that you can't lose the game. So, my Timmy thinking was that once you play this, you essentially win, but that's not the case. I mean, your opponent can just play a Shatter or Doomblade on this, and it's finished. Okay, so those are the cards. Um, uh, Honestly, I think overall, I think this is a weaker um, collection of cards from the anthology one. Um, the first one had cards like um, Cryptbreaker and Phyrexian Arena, which are just two absurdly powerful cards. And this set here doesn't really have, I think, any cards on that level. Um, Meddling Mage and Maelstrom Pulse are the two standouts for me. Um, Again, but even Meddling Mage tends to be a sideboard card against certain strategies. So, um, whereas a card like Cryptbreaker is a bread and butter card of the Zombies deck and is extremely powerful as a turn one play. And I just don't see any cards here that are at that power level. Uh, there's some that are just very good. Ranger of Eos is a good card that tops you up in the mid game with getting two creatures. So it's a good curve topper for more of an aggressive deck. Um, but yeah, I mean it's a good set, just not as powerful I think as Anthology One. Um, so let's go to check out. Okay, so they do have Historic Pauper. I I don't have any Pauper decks right now, so I can't play that. But that's something to keep in mind for the future. If hopefully they do it again. So I'd like to check out this F&M at home, all access. So I think I need to make some decks first. So okay, so let's check out. Okay, so I misunderstood. I thought today was kind of like the Eldraine um, oh, sorry about that. I accidentally exited the client there. Okay, so oh, there's a cube. Okay, no, this is interesting. So one to play some limited that really packs a punch. The cubes. Alright, so that's interesting. It is unfortunate that it's not a draft, that it's sealed. I would have preferred it being draft. I'm not a big fan of sealed. Just it's kind of like a big pile of cards, and then we're excuse me. I just prefer drafting. I find the decision making a lot more interesting. You know, going pack by pack. But you know, this could be fun. Um, I'm curious of what the prize pool of this is. All right, so excuse me, my got a frog in my throat. So it looks like the prizes are a combination of ICRs, and which are individual card rewards, and gold. That's you know, that's kind of unfortunate. I mean, they do have oh, it's all right here. Okay, so so it's gold from 1-up to gems. uh, Now, this is a case where I do think that the prizes don't really fit the cost of entry. I mean, 3,000 gold where you don't even get to keep any of the cards, and to even um, I mean, it takes 4 wins to even to really break even. Uh, I mean, you are getting the cube experience, you know, as far as sealed goes, but it's you know, I don't like the price structure here. I think you know, there could be more gems here, and I would actually like to see Wizards start adding wild cards. I mean, I know that might be a lot to ask because that's, the that's essentially the main form of way of getting cards in the game. But I do I do like the prize support for draft. Okay, so it looks like I okay, so it looks like for some reason I was under the impression that you could use cards from the new set, but that doesn't come out for a while. So you get to use all of uh, all of Theros, which is cool because I don't have much experience with Theros. Hmm. Okay, well, I think I'm going to jump into a draft. All right, let's jump into it. Okay. Just going to change my resolution here. Okay. So the rare is Ashiok's Erasure. Yeah, I think. Yeah, this is one of the weaker rares that I could have opened. I mean, essentially, it's going to act just like a 4-mana counterspell most of the time. It might catch a. Well, I guess the benefit of it is that it might add to a devotion. So I can keep that in mind. But, I mean, just compare this to something like a Memory Drain here. Memory Drain actually might even be better often the time because because my opponent can they can destroy this and get their card back, whereas Memory Drain removes the card. But there is the interaction of what's the mechanic? Where is it here? The graveyard mechanic, where you can play cards from the graveyard. That is one use for that. Favorite Eros. So that's I think green-white Constellation is a deck. What I do like about this set is it's a very complex set. A lot of the cards, even commons and uncommons, tend to do a lot of stuff. Like this card here, Destiny Spinner, is just above rate for 2 mana. You get a 2/3 for 2, which is just solid. And then it has two relevant abilities. In the late game, you can turn your lands into creatures, and yeah, it's just a solid card. I do think the removal is probably what I'm going to go with here. Yeah, Lampad is I've seen it do work in the red-black sacrifice deck. This card I'm not really a big fan of. I mean, 3 mana for a Edict effect is not usually where I want to be. I don't know if there's any hexproof creatures in the format where this might be useful, but yeah, I think I'm just going to go with Drag to the Underworld, see where that goes. Okay, so no rare. Standouts to me are Eutropia, a very powerful card in the and a blue-green Constellation deck, where you're playing enchantments. The +1/+1 counter is definitely nice, but giving your creature flying, especially in a green deck, where you can have cards like the Colossus, very, very good. I've had games where I've won purely just because of that ability, you know, giving the creatures flying. Sentinel's Eyes I haven't played with much, but I do think this card's good. Warbriar Blessing is very good. Excellent removal. Does need to be in a kind of a meteor green deck to really get use out of the fight effect. So nothing here really to continue on with my black strategy. So I do think it's between Eutropia and Warbriar Blessing. Eutropia would be abandoning black altogether to commit for 2 colors, whereas Blessing would put me into green-black. And I think that's just a better option because it leaves me more open. Eutropia is more of a commitment. And while she is very powerful, I think having more options with two very good cards is still where I want to be. I don't know, you tell me. What is the madness? Hey there. Okay, so I don't see any strong black cards, but I do see a decent green card. Nylea's Forerunner is a enchantment. And it's the kind of card that I want to pair with the Blessing because I want bigger creatures. Since this pumps the toughness, this becomes a 5/5. So I think I'll go with the Forerunner here. Okay. So standouts here, I think. There's not really much. Heliod's Punishment is kind of a subpar removal. I mean, I'm not even in white anyway. I do like Revoke Existence. It's very it's powerful enchantment removal, but I'm not in white. I think it's here between the Moss Viper and the Aspect of Lamprey. Oh, that's okay. I just didn't have, I wasn't equipped with my witty retorts, so yes, that's something. Thanks for pointing that out. I forgot this had lifelink. I was thinking more of the discard and the devotion part of it, but yeah, I was thinking Viper because of the defensive aspects, but I mean it's such a small creature. Yeah, I vote as well. I think I'll go with the Lamprey. All right, so I think the only card here is Haven. It's a nice ramp effect, and get a 2/2 in the late game. Uh, yeah. Black Seed, what are your thoughts on Haven? I mean, it's either between that or the Viper, which. Okay, thanks for pointing that out. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Oh, you know what it was? I changed my resolution on the game, and I didn't fix it in the OBS. Okay. Okay, there. How does that look? Yeah. Okay, well, I think Haven ramp looks good, so let's go with that. All right, so there's the 4/3 black creature enchantment. Um, the 3/3. I've actually heard that the wardens are pretty good. I thought they were pretty weak when I first seen them, but I don't think it's the kind of deck for it though. I think either white green or green blue, more of a constellation type strategy. Uh, I think it's between the 4/3 and the 3/3. Wardens, really, even in an even in an unconstellation deck. I mean, 2 life per enchantment's pretty. Hmm, true. All right, I'll go with your recommendation. Okay. So nothing here for black. And so Nylea is Huntmaster. So this actually seems pretty decent with how much green I have. Yeah, with the aspect, yeah, it is 4. The nice thing of only having 2 of the black, though, is that I can jump ship if I have to. Yeah, with how much green I'm getting, the devotion seems like it's building up. All right, things are drying up. Well, it doesn't really matter. Well, Will is actually, from my experience, pretty good. So I think if I'm gonna, both Eidolon and Will are good. So what are your thoughts if I do end up going down the white or green, white or blue path down the road? What do you think are the better options here? I think Eidolon is good for the constellation strategy, but a Will is yeah. Yeah, I was thinking Will too. Will's a very good combat trick and it adds to the board. Oh, nice. Eyes is pretty is a nice pickup here. Go with that. Sage. This is just kind of a filler creature here. Oh, Courser's not bad as an enchantment. Just well, that's not a bad not a bad pickup. Yeah, it's a pretty sweet rare. I I don't mind the Evangel, but I don't think I can pass the Erasta here. The Chimera would be a nice wheel. This card, I think this card performs at least the few times that I play with it. So I'm going to go with the Erasta. Oh.
Are you having any sausages?
Yeah, I'll have a bit.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thanks. Oh, it's too bad we weren't in black because that's the spawn is a really nice card. But I do think the Caryatid is a really nice 2-drop. I mean, I don't really have many 2 options here. I mean, it's between really the Pegasus, Caryatid. I'm just going to close the door here. Yeah, I think the Dryad's a nice pickup. Especially with all the with the 2 Hunt Masters and the Forerunner. I think it's a nice. So an unplayable rare. So what are the options? So Will, Envoy, and Colossus. 2 Wills wouldn't be too bad. I'm not too much of a fan of the White Omen. Uh, I do like the Envoy though. So I think it's between the Will and the Envoy. Um, I don't have really too many auras, so I think I'm going to go with the. Yeah, there's only two auras, or yeah, I think I'll go with the Will. Yeah, I picked Will though because I really only had the one Will. So hopefully I do pick up an Envoy though because they're nice as a 2-drop. Pursuit is actually pretty nice. Oh, true. Yeah, Haven is an aura. Yeah, I forgot about that. And there's the aspect. Well, hopefully the Envoy does wheel because that would be a nice pickup. So I think I'm gonna go with the Pursuit here. Lampad is a nice card, but I think it's more of the sacrifice strategy. Right, so there's a. Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't really looking at so much of the graveyard synergy. It was more of the just the card advantage. So I mean, if it's a divination for 3, it's not a bad card. So here I think it's between Sentinel Eyes, Training, and Hunt. True. Um, I think it'd still be a decent 40th card. You know, it's something I'd definitely cut if I have better cards. So here I think yeah, Training is really nice. I've never been unhappy playing this. You know, I think I've played 4 copies in one deck, so I think I'll go with that. Arachneer's nice. Go with that. Shores, strength. Okay, so this is a card I was trying to think of when I was looking at Ghost Quarter earlier. Uh, okay, so I have no splash right now, so this doesn't really do much, and I'm not sure I want to run that, so I think I'll just grab the strength. Petitioner is actually nice. I don't have many 3-drops. So there's Petitioner, there's Omen. Right. So what are your thoughts between Petitioner and Omen? The ramp or the body? So I'm not going for really for devotion. Well, I do have the Huntmaster though. But I think having another, yeah, I think having a body on 3 is more important than the ramp. So amulet, or this card is just unplayable. I mean, 3 for an equip. But I mean, I've never seen this be good, but I know I could be wrong. I think this point, just take the amulet. At this point, doesn't really matter at this point. Well, that's not a problem. I just gives me a bit more time to think through my decisions. Yeah, Eidolon would have been nice for blue green, but not to be. Okay, so this is a pretty weak pack here. It would have been nice if we were in black, you know, going black with the grasp. You know, there is the Herald. Here, I think it's between the Herald and the Envoy, because I would like to pick up one Envoy. I mean, that is a nice 2-drop. It is sad passing that grasp, though. I mean, I could drop. If I was to drop white and go black, I'm getting rid of 3 nice auras, so I don't think I can do that. I think we would just be better off going with the Herald or the Envoy. Yeah, I think with the amount of auras, I think Envoy is a nice pickup. I agree. Oh, the Alseid. Ooh, there's some really nice ones here. This is going to be a tough pick. There's four cards that I would like to have. Yeah, this is tough. So get rid of the black 4-drops. So the Typhon might be a little much. Yeah, Wonder is a really powerful card. I mean, and since I'm green white, I've got a few nice auras and enchantment creatures. Yeah, the deck's shaping up to be a nice constellation deck. So yeah, I would like to have a repeal. So I'm just hoping that one of these four cards wheels, essentially. Uh, so, but yeah, I do think that the Wanderer is a very powerful card. So this is not as bountiful, so to speak, here. Another Huntmaster and a Grove Dancer. So if the Typhon comes back, I would not want another 4-drop because that would just be too much. Um, Having another 2 might be yeah, yeah. It's just a 2/2, but it has a couple abilities that I don't think I've ever actually used. Yeah, if the Typhon doesn't come back, I would rather have the Huntmaster, but I mean it's a safer pick to go with the Grove Dancer, just to have a 2/2. True, thanks for pointing that out. That's actually a big deal. The fact that it's an enchantment is far more valuable than the text on the card. So yeah, I think this is a better pick. So Gila is Pilgrim. That's actually, I mean, it's only a 1/2 body, but it tutors up an aura. I don't have any really powerful auras, but getting the blessing or the training. I think it's the Pilgrim here, but the Courser is an enchantment that could add to the constellation. I don't think this is a 4-drop that I would really want to. This is not really the deck for this type of card here. I think it's between the Pilgrim and the Courser, and I'm leaning on the Pilgrim just because I do have a decent amount of auras. Yeah, I agree. I think the Pilgrim is the pick. And here, this is might be a reward actually. Um, I know this is not an ideal aura because you can get 2 for 1, but I've had this and it's taken away games, um, especially on a flyer. Like I've seen this being thrown on an envoy on turn 3 and just take away the game with this card here. I mean, the other options are Omen. Plummet would be a nice. I would like to have one Plummet for the sideboard, but I mean, this is a risky card, but it can definitely pay off. I mean, I only have the Envoy, I think, as a flyer. Hey, not a problem. You know, take as much time as you need. I really appreciate your help, Black Seed, making these decisions. Yes, thank you, Black Seed. I appreciate it, and I will. I think this is a pretty solid deck we've made here, and I'm hopeful that we can take it home. Okay, so couple options here. So I think Will and Forerunners are the two best options. I think having two Forerunners is better than having three Wills. So I'm gonna go with that. So Mirror Shield. Okay. Here I think I'm just gonna go for the rare draft because nothing else is popping up. And this is a pretty decent card, so nice. Got another Envoy back. Happy with that. Third Envoy. I think that's better than the Sentry. Go with the Courser. Okay, so I think this is a pretty decent green-white Constellation deck. I mean, not really much can be done with it, so 17 looks good for for topping out at 5 at a 5 drop. Cut the amulet. Cut the strength. Yeah, I do think the pursuit is not what we're looking to do here. And I guess, I think it's between the courser and the petitioner. So I think I'll cut one. Yeah. Yeah, that keeps my devotion to green higher for the Hunt Master, so. Well, let's see how this goes. No white, eh? Well, so I do have a 2-drop. I think I'll keep this just because Carotid does add white. Okay, so another white card. A 4-drop would be nice to draw here because Carotid ramps me into 4. Not ideal. So I don't want to see a grasp here because that really limits what I can do. Hey there, Black Seed. Yeah, I kept a hand with 3 green mana. And with Carotid. I wouldn't have kept it if I didn't have the Carotid to give me access to white. So I did draw the Wanderer, thankfully, so Okay, well that's... Didn't want to see that. Now the nice thing is that this does protect the Wanderer from grasp, but killing the Caratid would actually be maybe even more devastating. Okay, so he gets back in Arachneer. Yeah, at least I got rid of the those cards that I really don't want to see. Okay, nice. We drew a Plains. So I can play the Forerunners, which will activate the Wanderer. Get another land. Yeah, I think we got the ball rolling here. Okay, so I think this is a nice turn to set up my presence. Yeah, this is going to be a huge turn here, I think. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay, yeah, and then I have Indomitable Will up to pump up. All right, so I think that was a pretty solid turn there. I swung with the Forerunner because even if he did block it, I had the Will up. Um, Well, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I didn't even consider the fact that the Forerunner gave the Wanderer trample. Yeah, that was a mistake on my part. Okay, that was a nice draw. Arachnir takes out Harpy. Not a problem. I get distracted myself, so yeah. And that is why I don't eat spam. Alright, so I think we get to get him here. Um, don't get my damage in my 1-1, but did get them to waste the card. Yeah, it's funny. I actually haven't been stocking up on like all the dry goods. Been trying to eat more of the fresh stuff, but I know they say that stocking up on the granola bars and all that is maybe more helpful. Yes, that was a bit of a slaughter there, I think. Good game though. That that Wander really, I think, it pulled that game. Well, funny you say that because that's actually what I'm going to be eating for supper. All right, so let's On to the next one. All right, well, take it easy, Black Seed. I really appreciate your help with the stream. You know, I'm this first time doing this, so I can get all the pointers that I can get. Oh yeah, you saw that, eh? Well, you take care and keep healthy from what's going on, and have a good one. Yep, take care, Black Seed. I think this was a bad keep. Especially having a turn 2 play, he's putting the pressure on, so I need to draw a creature soon here. Okay, that was actually helpful for me. Okay, so opponent's going for the blue-black graveyard synergy. Okay, so I think So that might come back to bite me, because that 2/1 wasn't a big threat, but the fact that it was an enabling his graveyard is something that I wanted to deal with. Does protect against grasp, which is nice. You could have the grab to the underworld, I think it's called. Okay. Four, 5. So I am glad that the opponent piled up on the Mogus. Okay. So Forerunner's gone, but this looks like it's going to be a nice trade here. I'm going to put the training on the second envoy, because if opponent has another second death or final death, I would rather lose only part of my resources than all the eggs. Well, that's not ideal, but I do get to make my 2/2. Well, that was the card I was hoping he was not going to have. Well, okay, so it looks like it's going to be a draw-go situation. The problem is I don't have any way of dealing with this. No, that is not what I wanted to see. I think what I need is a Forerunners to... Oh, that is not what I wanted to see. Yeah, that is... That's probably game over. I think I need to draw Forerunners and hope that they have nothing. Yeah, that definitely sucks. If Yeah, and this card is very good. I mean, it's just card advantage, life gain, or you get to deal with disrupt your opponent's graveyard. Yeah, I think this game is finished. Because really, all they need to do is put the put the favor on this, and I'm done. And he wins, and they win in 2 turns. Well, opponent has a very good deck. They have Thrix with Spawn, Mantle. I find it odd that they're not putting the favor on. Maybe that they're afraid of a fight effect. I'm not sure. Okay, that's kind of an odd one for them to counter, because I don't know how the Carotid wasn't really contributing much to the board, so maybe they forget about the favor. They don't realize that it. Yeah, I think opponent had a had an aggressive start with the Mystic. And but really, what changed the tide of the game was the legendary creature here. I think the game would have been much different. Yeah, they must have forgot about the favor because this card is just an absurd uncommon. I mean, a 3/4 for 4 is already a good rate, good defensive creature. Um, and it just has one of the strongest escape abilities. Um, and I mean, the fact that it can just recur, edicting your opponent's creatures is just an excellent card. Okay. So I think the big mistake I made in that game was keeping that opening hand. Um, Yeah, that was just too many. I needed a creature. If I had a creature on turn 2 or 3, I think the game would have been much different. But let's head into the next one. Okay, so this is kind of the same story as the previous hand. I do have a creature, but it's a 5 drop. If I draw any creature that's 2 or 3, I think this becomes a very good hand. So I think I'm going to keep this. Just hoping to draw a 2 or 3 drop. So if opponent is going for like a red-white aggressive strategy, this seems like that's what they're going for. Thankfully, they don't have a 2-drop to pump this up. If opponent is slower on the start, I think I might be able to stabilize. I've drawn a lot of lands these past 2 games. Okay, well thankfully it's been a very, very slow start for the opponent. That would have been a lot scarier on turn 2 or 3. Okay, so if I can land the presence, what I don't want to see is the 4-mana enchantment that does 4 damage. But I think they're going to maybe take this game away with in the skies. Okay, Wardens is actually a good draw because the life gain and the reach is actually very helpful. Yeah, that was probably the best draw on the deck. Besides maybe the Warbriar Blessing. I think things are looking pretty good now. I don't think the opponent can deal with these creatures in red. They need to have some sort of pacifism effect. Yeah, I thought the game was looking pretty dire there, but this Warden's actually was a huge draw. Okay, that's not terribly scary. What I'm most concerned is is a pacifism effect. Is I don't think anything for one can. There may be a 1-minute trick. 6. Yeah, I'm still gonna block. Alright, well, as long as opponent doesn't pacify the Forerunners, I think things are looking pretty good. Well, that's another thing they could do. And I think I might be dead. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. That's rough, but that was a good game by the opponent. I mean, I think that that threaten effect was really effective. Okay, this I think I'm going to keep because if I do draw a third land, I have three. I have 2 3-drops. Oh, I really thought I had the last game. That threaten really did me in. Alright, so Arasta is a nice draw there. Okay, that's a pretty good card. Now, do I think if I play the the Pilgrim, I'm taking a lot of damage next turn. But I think it might be worth it, because if I do get the 4-mana aura online, I can start producing 1/1s. So I think I'm going to do that. The opponent's curved out nicely here, and it's got the Evangel. If I do draw a 4th line, I think I'm in pretty decent shape. Okay, so I think my long-term plan here really is to either get a Rasta or the Arachner down to block this flyer, because that's, I think, how they're going to win the long game. But for now, I think I'm going to put the presence on Heliod's Pilgrim. Well, I wasn't thinking that one through, because yeah, I think Aras is a nice one here. I think maybe getting the Wanderer down might be better. Okay, that was actually a pretty nice trade for me. Yeah, I think that was actually pretty big. Okay, that was actually, I think, a big draw there. Okay, so things were looking pretty grim there, but I think we got things here. Alright, well, I wasn't expecting that. Alright, well, tables have turned for the opponent, but I was able to get back out the Arachneer here. And alright, well, that was a was a pretty exciting match. I didn't think I was going to win, then came back with the Arachnir and the Blessing, and opponent wiped my board, and then came back from that. Okay. Just gonna take a quick bathroom break, and we'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. Gonna head to the next match here. Okay, so this is a very borderline hand here. If I draw a white land in the next 2-3 turns, it becomes very good. But it's risky because I don't have any green cards in my hand. But I think because I have the Envoy and the Presence, that drawing a white land is just so good. I can win the game by turn 3 if the opponent doesn't have anything to deal with these. So I'm gonna keep. Okay, so that was a very good draw. Probably next best thing to a white land. Hopefully your opponent doesn't have a Mogus's Favor or a Grasp. Alright, so they got a character of their own. Okay, I think I'm gonna play the Envoy here. I'm gonna play the Eyes on the Envoy. The Will is better as a combat trick, so I'm gonna keep that for any sort of combat interactions. Ooh, Renata. She's a good one. Yeah, she's definitely one of the better grindy cards that give you advantage over a long time. I think, though, with the presence can just easily take over the game here. But Arasta is actually a good option too. Yeah, I think I'm going to play the Arasta just because if the opponent has any instants or sorceries, I'm getting advantage out of it. Yeah, again, it's a blue-black deck. This is the Arasta, I think, was a better play. Ooh, got the Devourer Memory on a splash. Okay. I'm not sure if he's playing this as an enabler for some graveyard stuff. Okay, I think I'm better off leaving Arasta back as a defensive creature. So I'm going to put the presence on the Envoy. Well, I'm sorry, already getting value out of that. I think I'm going to attack with both the Arasta and the envoy. That was a good counter for the opponent. It took out my kind of a key threat that I was looking to place on the board, but had to get some value out of it. Alright, so that was a good play for the opponent because deals with the Arasta. Alright, so opponent's in a pretty good spot with 4/4 Death Touch and a Beetle, which is going to keep on growing every turn. Imagine they take out the Carotid here. Yep. I don't see the opponent attacking with the Horn Beetle. I mean, I think it's better for them to keep it back, to let it grow. The Hierophant's a good attack. But I think... Okay, that was a good draw. But I won't be using it on the Hierophant. I think the Devourer is actually a stronger threat than the Brawler, so I'm going to use the actually Yeah, I think this is a better play here. Yeah, that was a better play because it puts the opponent on the defensive. Now, if the opponent does have a removal for the envoy, I think I'm in big trouble. But if they don't, okay, I think I'm going to attack with both because they have to block. And then yeah, I think it's better to be aggressive here. Well, I didn't realize I didn't have the white for the courser there. That could be a problem. Okay, that was what I was afraid of. They have the removal. Yeah, not having that white there is costing me huge. Yeah, if I had the white here, they wouldn't be able to attack. Yeah, having the removal and not having the white was a huge game changer. Yeah, good game. Well, that's a pretty hard loss. But I think it is a testament to the complexity of the format, though, because it shows how good the commons are. You know, every card in the set seems to do something, which is something I do enjoy about the format. It is tough to think through the decision sometimes because of how intricate things are, but I do prefer things to be a bit more complex than overly simple. Well, to anyone who watched the stream, who popped in, I appreciate your viewership. If this is my first time streaming, so if you did enjoy it, I appreciate a thumbs up, and I hope you all keep healthy out there, and have a good day. Bye.